Hey guys, it's Greg with Apple Explained, and I may look like I'm a little bit shorter today, and it's because I'm using a new tripod that my mom just got me. Actually, I just noticed if you see right here, this black bar, I don't know if that's showing up on your guys' screen, but that's actually the tripod blocking the camera. So let me get something to try and solve that problem. Give me a second. All right, let's see if I can't get that out of the frame by doing something here. The tripod is actually really nice because it gives me a lot more space on the, there we go. Hopefully that'll hold. It gives me a lot more space on the counter in front of me so I can put my big water jug, which I do have tonight. And I like this angle a little bit more. It's a little bit higher. All right. So again, this is the Apple Explained live stream. You can ask me about YouTube. You can ask me about Apple. You can ask me about my life. Let me make sure I'm in the frame here. And I just want you guys to know, here's another update on my Apple TV screensaver situation. If you weren't here for the last couple live streams, my Apple TV always runs in the background so that you guys have something to watch during this. We had a problem at first where it was only showing one wallpaper, the whale, over and over and over again. I was getting kind of annoyed. So what I did, well, I didn't do anything, I just waited. And it turns out week after week, it's been slowly downloading new wallpapers. So you'll notice that tonight it should cycle through quite a few different wallpapers for you guys to see. All right, we already have a super chat. Thank you guys so much. Let me just explain this right off the bat. We have a couple moderators here tonight. I know for sure Daniel is here. Thank you so much, Daniel, for helping us moderate today. I think Gordon might be here too. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him yet in the chat. We already have like almost 150 people here right now. I won't be able to answer everyone's question. So, yes, Gordon is here. Hi, Gordon. You can send a super chat, which someone has already done, and I hope I didn't miss it. Ben already sent us a super chat, as you can see here, and it highlights the question so that it has priority when I'm answering your guys' questions. If I still don't answer your question because you don't want to send a super chat, there's a second way to get it answered, and that is joining our Discord. Gordon or Daniel will post an invitation link to our Discord server in the live chat. You only have to be 13 years old or older. It's free. You accept the invitation, and then after every live stream, I'm going to be over there, and everyone gets to ask one question, and I answer it in a short Q&A video that I post exclusively on Discord. I also, I'm on there sometimes, a couple times a week. I post some pictures and things of behind-the-scenes stuff going on. For example, our first super chat from Ben, thank you, Ben, for that $2 super chat, says you rearranged the room. And yes, thank you for noticing, Ben. I did rearrange the living room. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is a new shelving unit right here that I didn't have before. I moved my couch, which is right here. That used to be against the wall, but I moved it to the kind of the middle of the room. And then I have my coffee table there, so that I'm closer to my TV, because this was a little bit too far. This was like 13 feet away, and I wanted to be more like 8 or 9 feet away. That's like the optimal distance for a 55-inch OLED television. And then I have this shelving unit here to put some things in. I did want some more storage space because I have a lot of like old electronics. I have a lot of cables. I have a lot of things that I collect, like Apple-related things. I showed you guys last week my Apple collection. So I'm glad that I have that there. But thank you for noticing. I just talked to my mom tonight. I just had pizza with them, with my family. And she said, we should wait tonight and see if people actually notice that you changed your room. Riley Czar said, why do so many people criticize Apple, but everybody still buys their products? Well, not everyone buys their products, but a lot of people do buy their products. I just think there's a certain desire for people to hate on Apple just for the typical reasons that we've seen for the last 30 years. Why people have always hated on Apple. They don't offer very many options, so you're kind of stuck with their hardware, which is limited. Their operating systems are limited. You can't customize as many things. So people say, oh, Apple users are stupider, or they're not as good with technology, or they're getting sucked into Apple's marketing schemes. And of course, that's not true. Apple users prioritize different things in a product than Android users or PC users. But there's always going to be that hate. All right, we have another super chat. Thank you to Eduardo for that $1 super chat. There was no question with it, but thank you, Eduardo, for the support. I really appreciate it. Someone asked, can we see... Akhtar Farhana said, can we see your iPad Pro 2018? Yes, that's what I'm using right now for this live stream. This is my iPad Pro 2018. And I also have with it the Folio keyboard that I use. This is actually my setup when I'm typing scripts. If you want to see like my work setup when I'm typing my videos out, go to my Instagram. It's just called Apple Explained. You can search for it and you'll find it. And I have a photo of what my setup looks like when I'm writing a script. And I kind of have the dual screen multitasking view going on with my research on one side and Safari, with my Pages application typing up the script on the left side. Reagan from Wowifying said, can we have a party when we reach 1,000 members on your Discord? We can play music in the voice chat all day and have a channel dedicated to spamming party emojis. I guess if you guys want to do that, go ahead. I think probably today or next week, or at least within the next few weeks, we're going to be passing 1,000 members on Discord, which is really incredible. And I'm really proud of the job Daniel has done, Gordon has done. I mean, we have a few moderators that have worked really hard to build the Discord, to moderate it, to keep it running smoothly, to keep it active, and I really, really appreciate it. It's a really cool community that we have there. Minecrafter said, what car do you want to own? I actually own my dream car. I mean, I used to drive like old, like $2,000-$3,000 cars. I never had like that much money to waste on a car because expensive cars are a waste of money. It's just a luxury product that if you can afford it, it's nice to have, but it is a waste. My dream car was always a Tesla Model 3. Ever since it came out, ever since it was introduced in 2016, I was like, that is the perfect car for me. It's completely minimalist. It's just focused around tech. The fact that there's no dashboard, there's no gauge cluster, everything is just in a big 15-inch touchscreen. I thought it was amazing. It's electric, that's amazing. Finally, because of you guys, because of YouTube, I was able to afford to buy one, and I just got it like 6 months ago about. So yeah, I have my dream car. We have another super chat. Kay, thank you for that $5 super chat. Kay said, what would be your dream car if you didn't have your Tesla? Also, nice hoodie. Thank you. This is actually my backup hoodie. It's kind of small right now. I have some weight I need to lose, but I have to do laundry tomorrow. I didn't have any other hoodie options to choose from because this is a little bit small. What would be your dream car if you didn't have your Tesla? I mean, to be honest, I never really had a dream car like, oh my God, I'm in love with that car and I want it right when I can afford it. I never had that feeling until I saw a Tesla. I mean, I knew I wanted to own a Tesla the moment I saw one. And then when the Model 3 came out, I knew that was the one I wanted. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm really not a car person. And I never thought I would fall in love with a car. Flintimation said, hey Greg, should I buy the iPhone 9 later this month when it comes out? That depends. I need more information. If you guys want to know whether you should buy an iPhone or a MacBook Air or something, please give me as much information. Like, what is your budget? What phone do you currently have? What are you looking for in a phone? What are you going to use it for? How long do you plan on having it? All of that will inform my advice to you. So right now, if you have a phone that's like 3 or 4 years old and you can spend $400 on a new iPhone, but you can't really spend more than that because it's out of your budget, then I think the new budget iPhone, whatever it's called, whether it's the iPhone 9 or it's called the iPhone SE2, then yes, I think that will be a good purchase for you. It just depends on all those circumstances. Jumbo Flames Productions said, what Apple Watch do you recommend? Right now I highly recommend a used Series 4. You can find one for probably $300 to $350, depending on which size you're looking at. But it's not that different from the Series 5, and you can save a lot of money by buying a used version. Lorenzo Vergara said, Greg, how much YouTube money do you make monthly? I've never said how much I make exactly. And it's not because we're not allowed. Like, some people say that YouTube doesn't allow us to share our analytics or whatever, but that's not true. There is nowhere in the terms and conditions that says we cannot share how much we make as YouTube creators. I just feel kind of uncomfortable saying it, but I usually say this: I make 6 figures. Like, I don't make that much over 6 figures. So I guess that's about like what, 8,000 or 9,000 a month. I think that's the range. Nick Brito said, Greg, have you noticed how faulty Apple's profanity system is for engravings? I didn't notice that. I know that they recently changed the engravings that they do. Actually, Plain Rock 124 made a vlog about this. He wanted, and he had to buy a new pair of AirPods Pro, but then that was when the engraving system changed and it was in all caps instead of lowercase, which he didn't like. But you can also put emojis on there now. But I guess, can you add cuss words and it's not filtering those out? I didn't hear about that. Off-White Cubing said, will there be new AirPods coming out? Yes. Supposedly Apple's working on a budget version of the AirPods Pro called the AirPods Pro Lite, I guess. That's what the rumors are saying. And apparently it's going to be like AirPods Pro, the same design, except it won't have the noise canceling or transparency features. So pretty much you're getting that slightly better sound quality and you're getting the in-ear design. So you kind of have like noise isolation, but it's not active noise cancellation. And apparently they're working on those. Michael said, what are your thoughts on Project Sandcastle? Do you think it's practical since you already have to be jailbroken? Sideloading apps is easier now and both platforms have much of the same apps. I have no idea what you're talking about. Project Sandcastle, I have no idea what that is. I recently heard that you can jailbreak an iPhone to run Android on it. Is that what you're talking about? No, but when I said 6 figures, I meant 6 figures like annually, and then I broke that down monthly. I don't make 6 figures monthly. I wish. That would be amazing. Someone from South Korea, I can't read the name because I don't read Korean, said, I live in South Korea. Is it okay to join Apple TV? Honestly, I'm not sure. I imagine, Apple, join Apple TV Plus. You're probably talking about Apple TV Plus. I don't know if Apple TV Plus is in Korea right now. If it is, then you can probably sign up. But if it's not, you probably can't sign up even if you tried. But hopefully, eventually, it will make its way there. Govinda said, why don't you explain oranges? That's funny. Flintimation, oh wait. Well, I'll just, Flintimation said, do you have a TikTok? No, I don't have a TikTok. Ben said, have you ever thought of freelancing some tech-related investigative journalism? I mean, if I had the time, that would be something I like to do. I mean, I kind of already do that with my YouTube channel. It's probably why you mentioned it. But I would like to do like some deep dive into a topic like behind the scenes Apple Care workers, because I've just heard like a lot of rumors about the way Apple Care functions, and like the employees are not technically Apple employees. They're like contractors that work on behalf of Apple, and apparently, I don't know, it's this weird situation. And I feel like there's a lot of that when it comes to just big corporations, Apple included. Oh, that's a nice screensaver. It's like seaweed. Do you guys see that? That's a new one. I haven't seen that. I mean, I would like to do that. I would like to like contact people and do interviews and make like a whole documentary about something Apple related. But that's like, I wouldn't be able to make videos for YouTube. So I just have to keep doing what I'm doing on YouTube. What I want to do is hire people. The problem is I cannot find anyone that can do it. I can't. I have tried hiring like 10 different people, 10 different times to write videos for me. Like, can you do this topic? And then I can do this topic, and then we can make more videos. And then they write a script and they send it to me, and it's like not that good. And there's errors and there's grammar problems, and the information is very vague. It's not like a specific story that's interesting. And then I end up having to rewrite half of it and research half of the stuff and correct things that they got wrong. So I cannot find anyone who knows that. I guess people don't know that much about Apple. And I am open. If you guys think that you know a lot about Apple and you can write the same scripts that I do, like the same level, the same quality, please email me, info@appleexplained.com, and like send me something. Send me your resume, send me like writing examples, because I need to hire people, because then I can hopefully make more videos. And if I can hire enough people, I can have like a few writers on staff. Then maybe I could go out and do like these documentary length videos, kind of like what Shane Dawson does, and investigate a certain aspect of Apple. That would be really, really interesting. Nick Brito said, tell me how you feel about the coronavirus and how bad you think it'll get. I mean, I just watched recently a John Oliver segment on this. I don't know if you guys watched John Oliver, but he usually does really good, like well-researched segments on a certain topic. And he talks like for 20 minutes on one topic and really goes into detail and helps you understand it. And he just did one, I think, this past weekend on coronavirus. Because it's really hard to tell, like, some people are saying, oh, it's so overblown, it's so dramatized. Other people are saying, we really have to take it seriously. And what John Oliver said is like, it's somewhere in the middle. Like, should you be worried? Yes. There's a reason why you should be concerned about this. Now, do you need to go crazy and like panic over it? No, you don't have to panic. But I mean, it's a problem, and unfortunately, it only seems to be getting worse. I mean, now Italy is having all kinds of problems. South Korea has already had problems. It's spread to the US now, and like Seattle is having problems. People in California are having problems. Even in Ohio, we've already had a couple cases, I think in Athens. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm just hoping it gets better soon. I'm waiting for the improvement. Super Elephant 360 said, Greg, hi, I'm looking to spend about $400 to upgrade my iPhone 7. Would you suggest iPhone 10, which has OLED, or iPhone XR has a newer chip and better battery? I like the notch form factor, so not iPhone 9. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, Super Elephant. If you guys have about $400 to spend and you're thinking about buying this new iPhone 9 or whatever, keep in mind the iPhone 9 is going to have the same form factor as the iPhone 8. It's going to have a home button, it's going to have the bezels. It's not going to have the OLED display. Compare that to the iPhone 10, which if you buy one used on eBay, just like Super Elephant said, it probably costs about $400, which is the same as this new iPhone 9. And I'm really into buying used Apple products. You can really save hundreds of dollars by doing that, and you still get a good quality product. Super Elephant, this is what I would say. This is what you need to think about. Yes, the XR has a little bit larger display, but it is LCD. Now, maybe you won't tell that much of a difference. I think after you start using it, you're not going to really care that it's LCD. But it doesn't have as good of a camera system as the 10. With the 10, you get that telephoto lens. And I think portrait mode might be a little bit better on the iPhone 10 compared to the XR, but I might be wrong on that. And yeah, you do get a little bit extra battery life on the XR. But I'm not sure how much of a noticeable difference it would be. I don't know if it's 1 hour or a couple hours longer. Maybe it is a big difference. If it is a big difference, I would recommend the XR. If a camera is important to you, like you do a lot of stuff with cameras or you use it for work with cameras, then maybe you want to look into the iPhone 10. If you care about build quality, because the iPhone 10 does have like stainless steel and glass instead of aluminum and glass, that might not be a big deal for you. So probably you'll end up leaning toward the XR. Someone said, I really want to give you the shout out. Someone asked me what was the first iPhone I ever owned. I can't find that. But my first iPhone was the 5. I have a super chat. Thank you, AN. Thank you, AN, for that $5 super chat. They said, what do you think about a 2G designed iPhone, which is the original iPhone, with the 11 Pro specs, full screen, OLED, Face ID, A13? Would it be possible and lucrative for Apple? I mean, a lot of people have said this. I think actually John Mayer approached Steve Jobs and said, why don't you make a PowerBook? Because the MacBook Pros used to be called PowerBook. You should make a PowerBook that has the classic design of the G3. I think it was a G3. It's kind of black, but it has the modern internals of the G5 or whatever. And Steve Jobs was like, the problem is we would sell 14 of them. I think that's exactly what Steve Jobs said. And I think that's true. Like if you take an old design, like retro design, original iPhone, you put in modern specs, will some people think it's cool? Yeah, but it's gonna be a very small amount. It's gonna be, it'll appeal to a niche market. And Apple won't sell that many, so that's why they never do that. But it would be a cool novelty. Porg Liberation Movement, thank you for that $5 super chat. Porg said, do you think Apple will ever go USB Type-C and abandon the Lightning port? Yeah, I think they will eventually with the iPhone. And why has Apple not gone USB Type-C yet, beyond Apple as a reason? Because they don't want people to get mad at them for changing the iPhone port again. Do you remember back when Apple changed the port from the iPod type connector to Lightning with the iPhone 5? People lost their minds. People got so mad. People were blaming Apple for price gouging, for forcing people to buy new cables, for forcing people to buy new accessories. And people were genuinely mad at Apple for changing the port, even though that's something they had to do because the 30-pin connector was so large and it took up so much space inside the phone. They needed something a lot smaller. So they are afraid of the backlash. I guarantee that's what it is. I guarantee that's why they've been holding off with the last couple iPhones. But I think eventually they will have to transition from Lightning to USB-C eventually on the iPhone. SBC Aussie said, should I upgrade my iPhone 5S? Battery is rough, body is breaking. What iPhone should I get? Tight budget. I think if you can afford like $150 to $200, look into the iPhone 7. Because if you're on the 5S, that's 5S, 6, 6S, 7. You're getting 3 generations ahead. And really the iPhone 7, I mean iPhone 7 and then it's the iPhone 8 and the 10, it's the same generation. 10S, 11 Pro Max. So, I mean 11. So you're only you're going from 6 generations behind to 3 generations behind, which is cutting that in half. So if you can afford the iPhone 7, I think you can get it for like maybe $175. Look on swappa.com, SWAPPA.com. That's where you can find the most affordable used iPhones. Lorenzo Vergara said, Greg, are you running out of ideas on what to explain about Apple? You're uploading slower than normal. Why is that? Am I uploading slower than normal? I mean, I usually upload like what, once a week? Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on if I have to do like a history of the iPhone or like one of my slideshow things, depending on if I do a product review. I actually finished a second video 2 days ago, but I have to change a couple things about it because the sponsor wants me to change a couple things about what I say about them and where the sponsorship is in the video. I put it too far in the beginning. It has to be in the middle. And I think I talked for too long, so I have to shorten it a little bit. But I never run out of ideas. I mean, I have a list right now of like 50 topics about Apple that I want to do. The problem is I don't have enough time in a day to make like 5 videos a week. I would love to make 5 videos a week, but I can't. I don't have enough time. And I could make my videos like more basic. I could make it to where I can just go to the Wikipedia page and kind of like pick apart some things and form like, oh, here are top 10 features of the iPhone 11. Like there are people who make videos, top 10 features of the iPhone 11, and those are very easy videos to make. You can make that video in 2 hours. The problem is everyone makes those videos because they're easy to make. You're not giving a fresh perspective or any insight into anything about the iPhone 11. You're just reciting what is already in front of you from the Wikipedia page. So if I want to keep making like good quality, insightful videos where I have to research dozens and dozens of different articles and product pages, and I have to go on Wayback Machine to find how much something used to cost compared to today. I mean, there's just so much information I have to get from my videos to make them interesting, to make them insightful, that it takes a lot of time just to make one video. That's why, again, I want to hire people. I want to have a staff of writers where I can say, this is the topic, go do the research, go form an interesting narrative, and then make the story in my voice, in a way that I can receive the script from you and then just recite it into the microphone and it sounds natural. That's what I want to have, but I haven't been able to find that. Until I can find that, I can't make 3 videos a week. Let me make sure I didn't miss a super chat. Oh, there's a $10 super chat. Legend67, thank you for that $10 super chat. That's very generous. Legend. They said, should I buy the newest iPad mini over an iPad Air or iPad 7? Need a drawing tablet. Don't need a smart keyboard, just Apple Pencil. If you're drawing, I don't think you want the iPad mini. I think you could get away with the iPad 7. That's the 11-inch. No, that's the 10 and a. Is that the 10.5-inch model? 11-inch model? I would go with not the iPad mini. Just to give yourself the largest screen that you can afford. And I think that's the iPad 7. And then you can buy an Apple Pencil. I think that'll give you a really good drawing setup. I just think the iPad mini will be too small. The Apple brain, should I get the Apple Watch 3 or 5? Look into a used Series 4. I highly recommend that. Augusto Galindo said, how has been your experience with Beats headphones? Pretty bad. One time I bought like a pair of the in-ear earbuds wired for my mom like a couple years ago, and they were awful. I mean, they were really uncomfortable. They did not fit well in my ear, and they did not fit well in her ear. And honestly, the sound wasn't that great. So I returned them. I was not satisfied at all. So ever since then, I haven't even touched the Beats brand. Rashid Tarabane said, what was your first car you ever owned? It was a, what was that? 2001 Nissan Sentra, I think. Azzy BK, thank you for that $5 super chat. Azzy said, have you seen the new Samsung Book S? It's a laptop running on a smartphone processor. When is Apple releasing a version of an ARM Mac? Supposedly, we're going to get the first ARM Mac in 2021, I believe, next year. Samsung Book S, I haven't heard of it. Yeah, I don't know. Let me look it up. Interesting. That looks very interesting. Cool. I mean, it's interesting. Michael said, what do you feel about the notion that Siri isn't as good as other assistants? I think that's true. Do you think Apple should specifically prioritize getting Siri up to par with competition? Yeah, they definitely should. They need to completely rewrite Siri. They need to completely, from the ground up, trash Siri and restart from scratch. There was an interview with the original founders of like the company Siri that Apple bought in 2009 or 2009, I think. And he basically said, Siri was not originally written to do what Apple wanted it to do. Like, it was not meant to have such a wide scope of knowledge about so many different things. It was meant to have a very limited scope, but like a deep depth of knowledge on a few different topics. So, and we've seen that. Like, initially Siri was fine because it only did a few things and it was pretty good at it compared to other voice assistants. But after a few years, I mean, Google, Microsoft Cortana, Alexa, they just completely blew by Siri in terms of the information they could give you. And I know Apple has said, like, look, Siri is not a trivia machine. The problem is, it doesn't matter how you think customers should use it. Customers have the expectation to use it the same way they use other voice assistants. So if you're saying Siri isn't designed to do X, Y, Z, it's only designed to do A, you're telling customers Siri is not as capable as anyone else, which makes it inferior by definition, by the way you're describing it. So yeah, I have a problem. And my problem is even the things Apple says it should be able to do, it can't do, or it can't do reliably. Like, for example, I set up a Siri shortcut because my Tesla app is connected to my Siri shortcuts. I set something up so that when I say start the car, it'll start the car. It'll like warm up the car. But watch, I'm gonna try it. Ready? Start the car.
Sorry, I can't start or stop your car.
Okay, it just said it can't do it. Sometimes it says it can't do it. Sometimes it says Siri shortcuts is not available. There's just so many problems with Siri. Apple needs to take a step back, admit that the foundational code of Siri is bad. Actually, the people who invented Siri went on to create a different company that had a new foundation of technology, a new foundation of code that was actually designed to do what, the artificial intelligence and machine learning things that all these other, that Microsoft is doing, that Amazon is doing, that Google is doing. I just really hope Apple can catch up, and I don't know if we'll see that happen anytime soon. Nishaneth Dometi said, why is Apple named Apple? That's a pretty good question. No one's ever asked before. I don't know if it's obvious to many people. Do you guys even know how Apple was named Apple? The story was that at the time Apple was created, at the time Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs founded the company, they had to create a company to sell their computer that Steve Wozniak had designed. And they had to come up with a company name. And so Steve Jobs just, was thinking about it and then said, Apple. Like Apple has the qualities that we want in this company that we're founding. And at the time he was on a fruitarian diet, he was only eating fruit. And eventually he had some health problems because of that. But he was eating a lot of apples. He probably had some affinity for apples. He thought he liked how they looked or whatever, the simplicity or something. And that's how he thought of Apple. And then he said, if you guys have any other names that you think is better, he told this to like Steve Wozniak, and there were a couple people helping him out in his parents' garage. Let me know, and then we'll take a vote. And then no one said anything. No one could come up with a better name, so they stuck with Apple. Windows Gamer said, what's your real name? My name is Greg. That's why in my videos at the very beginning I say, this is Greg with Apple Explained. Thunderplays said, why did Apple make the iPad naming system so confusing? I mean, is it that confusing? Maybe it's a little bit confusing. I mean, they did to the iPad what they did to the Mac, to the iPod, and the iPhone. You take a popular product and you make different models so that you have different pricing levels so that you maximize profits. If someone's willing to pay $800 for an iPad, you want to make sure you have an iPad that sells for $800 and not just have one model that sells for $500. Just like the same with the iPhone. I mean, the iPhone used to go for $650. But Apple realized, hey, some people might pay $1,000 for an iPhone, so let's make one that's $1,000 and we can make more money. King of Retro said, which Tesla do you have and which Tesla do you recommend? I have the Model 3. It's the cheapest model, but I didn't get the cheapest Model 3. I got one that had it was a long range version, and I got the white interior and the more expensive rims. So I ended up spending, like $50,000 on this car, which is a lot of money to spend on a car. And if you are making enough money to buy a luxury car and to waste money on it, then I would recommend a Tesla. if you don't drive like super far distances all the time, and then I recommend the long range version. You just want to get the biggest battery as possible, so that you don't have to charge, like stop at supercharging stations as often if you do like a road trip. Techie Kid said, is your Tesla dual motor? Yeah, it's a dual motor Tesla long range version. Brett Walton said Curiosity Stream has a few great documentaries on the history of Apple. Yeah, I think I've actually seen a couple of them actually. Curiosity Stream sounds really familiar. Wait, that's a streaming service, isn't it? Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking of a YouTube channel. Mo Lester said, can you do history of Apple lawsuits? That's actually not a bad idea. I will add that to my list. Thank you, Lester, for that idea. What was it? History of Apple lawsuits. Lambo Guy said, do you know why there's a bite out of the Apple logo? It's because the guy who designed the logo realized that when he just drew the apple with no bite, it looked like a cherry. Like some people could misunderstand it for a cherry instead of an apple. So by adding a bite mark, it made the logo more proportional. So you knew like how big it was because it had the bite mark in it. So you can't misunderstand it for a cherry because the bite mark is there, which suggests that the fruit is larger than a mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's there. Crazy Tech Reviews said, can you do a history of WWDC? I actually already have done a history of Worldwide Developers Conference. Go to my videos on my YouTube channel, type in Worldwide Developers Conference, and you will find that video. Nick Brito said, do you think AirPods Pro noise canceling is overrated? I wouldn't call it overrated. I think it's pretty impressive considering how small the AirPods Pro are. But it's definitely not the best noise canceling technology in the market, especially if you're comparing it to over-ear headphones. I mean, I have Bose QC35s and the noise canceling is much, much better. I mean, probably 30 to 50% better than the AirPods Pro. It definitely cancels more noise. And even the sound quality is better on the Bose QC35s. The problem is the QC35s are over-ear headphones. They're big and they're not necessarily comfortable to wear. They're not easy to carry around. And yeah, they're not very convenient. So when you consider all of that, the whole experience of using them, AirPods Pro usually come out ahead. I wear my AirPods Pro 90% of the time when I want noise cancellation, just because they're small, they're convenient. I can put them in my pocket. I can take them with me really easily, put them on and off real quick. It's way more convenient. And plus it works better with Apple products. I have this problem with my Bose headphones where if I'm listening to music and I start a YouTube video, or no, I'm listening to music, I pause my music and I play a YouTube video, the audio from the YouTube video will be silent. I have to unpause my music and then play the YouTube video, and then I'll hear the audio from the YouTube video, but then I also have the music playing, And if I pause the music, the audio from the YouTube video will go silent again. So it's really like, there's a lot of bugs with these like Bose headphones that can be annoying, which I don't have a problem with the AirPods. Essa John said, do you like the fact that Apple got rid of the butterfly keyboard on the 16-inch MacBook Pro? Yes, I love that. I love that decision. The butterfly keyboard was a complete failure. The butterfly keyboard was a complete failure. And I really hated the arrow keys. I don't know if you guys know this, but the butterfly keyboard has these large arrow keys that fill up the entire space in this corner. But do you see how these arrow keys are like half the size? The right and left arrow keys used to be the same half size. So you would have a gap of space right here and right here. So that when you're feeling for those arrow keys, you could always find them really quickly because you felt the gap. And you would go, okay, boom, there's my arrow keys. Now, when you do it, it feels like the rest of the keys. So you cannot easily locate the arrow keys and you have to look down every time you're trying to find them, and it's really annoying. And it was also really annoying that there wasn't a physical escape key, because you would have to tap once on the touch bar to wake it up, and then tap again to actually register a tap on the escape key, which was really annoying. So I'm glad the changes they made. And of course, the scissor mechanism, it's a little bit taller. You get more of a click out of it, which I like more. And supposedly, Apple's gonna be putting scissor mechanisms in a new iPad Folio keyboard cover case, whatever, with the introduction of the new iPad model. Or maybe not with the introduction, but later in the year after the new iPad comes out, which I'm really looking forward to. And supposedly it might also have a trackpad built into this case, to this cover, which would be super, super convenient. Nick Brito said, can you please review Bose 700s? I've been looking to see if I can get them for a good price. If I can get them for $200 to $250, I would definitely buy them and sell my old Bose headphones. The problem is there's no improvement in noise cancellation or sound quality on the Bose 700s. Every review I watched said that there's been no improvements. The only changes is the design, the touch buttons instead of the physical buttons. They're more comfortable, they're a little bit lighter, it feels like, I've heard. Maybe battery life is a little bit better. Other than that, there's no improvements. So I'm not really clamoring to buy them if there's no improvements to sound quality or noise cancellation, which is kind of the point of using those headphones to begin with. James Damasio said, what city do you live in? I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Ethan Sanborn said, have you ever tried Linux? I have not. Thunderplays said, do you think that the camera on the iPhone is overrated? Definitely not. I mean, it's not like I see people saying, oh, the iPhone has the best camera system in the market. I don't really hear that. If anything, I think it's underrated. The iPhone definitely has the best video recording of any smartphone. I mean, this has been proven generation after generation. And I use my iPhone's camera a lot for video. Like when I do my video reviews for products on my YouTube channel, I use my iPhone camera and it's incredible. I used to have a dedicated Sony Mark III that I could capture like beautiful 4K high resolution video on it. But after you scale that down to 1080p, and I compared it to my iPhone's camera, especially the 11 Pro Max, I was like, wow, you really can't tell that much of a difference, and it's way easier and more convenient to record using my iPhone than using an external dedicated video camera. Tech Info said, why did Apple launch Today at Apple? I think they did it because they wanted Apple to become more of a community hub. Where people could come and hang out and sit around and watch a presentation or learn about a new Apple product. They wanted to make it more like a Starbucks atmosphere where people could hang out rather than just going there and buying something and leaving. And I think there's also just the added value of that information or those music performances or whatever they're doing in their Today at Apple sessions. Whether it's educating kids how to code, you're introducing people to Apple products. You're helping people learn about Apple products. And you're preventing them from learning about Android products or about PCs. So you're just kind of getting them into the Apple world, into the Apple ecosystem, which is really valuable for Apple as a company because then you're selling more products, you're creating loyal customers, you're adding value to their purchase because you're adding, information sessions that they couldn't get at the Microsoft store or the Sony store. So I think that's kind of the idea. And I mean, that's also why Apple even had the Genius Bar with the original Apple stores. They wanted that extra service, that support to attract customers, to keep customers, and to reassure them when buying a product that you're going to get good in-person service. If you ever have a problem, bring it back to us rather than, okay, we're selling you this, go call our headquarters if you have a problem. I mean, that's less of a good experience for people. Repride said, do you wish Apple made video game consoles? No, definitely not. They tried to before. It was a big failure. I think if they tried to again, it would be another big failure. If you think about the kind of people who hate Apple, I know we just talked about this in the beginning of the stream. I would say if you could just name one group of people that hates Apple the most, I wouldn't even say PC users, because a lot of people have a PC, but they have an iPhone or they have an iPad. I think the group of people that really just hate Apple the most, the largest percentage of them, are gamers, hardcore gamers, especially PC gamers. They absolutely despise Apple. And if Apple were to make a gaming console, they would be laughed out of the market. I mean, no one, even if it was good, no one would buy it because just they hate Apple. They just despite Apple, they would not buy it. So I think what Apple's focusing on is not a gaming console. It's how can we create a gaming platform with the hardware we already have? Because Apple has some powerful graphics and processing power in their iOS devices, in the Apple TV, maybe even down the line when they create ARM Macs. So they're sort of leveraging the platform they already have with the iPhone and iPad and Apple TV and the Mac, and they are creating a casual gaming platform that way. I think I had a super chat somewhere. Owen, thank you for that $5 super chat. Owen said, what do you think of the new GM batteries and future plans they announced? Do you think they will be a threat to Tesla and possibly take them over? Yeah, I kind of read an article about that, GM. But if I read correctly, the battery was twice as big as a Tesla battery, but it was a lot less efficient, if I recall. The GM battery got 400 miles. It was twice as big as Tesla's battery, but Tesla's battery got 320 miles. I think that's what I read. So I don't think it was actually a big breakthrough in battery technology. I think they just managed to fit a bigger battery in whatever future car they're going to make. And it hasn't even come out yet. It's not even real yet. So it's hard to say exactly how that's going to turn out. But even Tesla right now is already working on new battery technology that will be revealed in the future. So these gas car companies have a lot of catching up to do in that market. And Tesla has already kind of established themselves as the electric car to get. So when people shop for an electric car, most of the time they just go straight to Tesla and they figure out, okay, which Tesla model can I afford? They're not really going around to GM and Honda and like exploring those because they just haven't proven themselves in the EV market yet. Kay, thank you for that $2 super chat. They said 240 people. I've never seen this many people. Wow. Oh my God, we do have 240 people on right now. I think that is a record. I'm not sure where that came from. Lorenzo Vergara said, what's your opinion on the hole punched screen protector? Screen protector? Hole punched screen protector? What are you talking about? I don't know what that means. Hole punch screen protector. Jwalant Joshi said, do you play any games? If yes, which ones? I have a Nintendo Switch. It's hooked up to this TV. I play Mario Kart. Mario Kart is my #1 game. I love it. I'm fairly good. I also play Splatoon 2. I also play FIFA. I also play Super Mario Maker. I also play Pokemon. But mainly, I mean, every day I play Mario Kart for at least an hour. Alexandro said, do you think that the iPad should have thinner bezels and a notch? Or do you prefer the current style? I think right now the bezel is where it needs to be. I mean, if you look at this, you can say, oh, the bezels are kind of thick. But when you're holding this, especially one-handed, you can see my thumb is already like on the screen when I'm holding it. And I don't want to have such thin bezels where my thumb is accidentally interacting with the screen when I don't intend that to happen. Because even with my iPhone, if I'm reaching for my iPhone and my palm brushes the display because the bezels are so thin, it will activate the flashlight, it will activate the camera, and it's really annoying. I really don't like when that happens. So I think right now I'm really happy with the bezel size on this. Josh said, do you have an Apple TV box? Yes. Or Apple TV, or TV with its app? Oh no, I have an Apple TV box. If so, can you think about doing an overview video on them? Tried to find videos before, but I haven't found much or ones that show everything. What are you talking about? Apple TV, like what it can do? Because there's definitely a lot of videos about that. If you're talking about like a LG or Samsung television set with the Apple TV app, I don't have that. And the app is the same as the Apple TV app on the Apple TV box. So you can just look for review videos for the Apple TV box. Avery R said, what's the cheapest and newest iPhone I should get for my parents? I mean, how cheap are you talking? If you're talking about under $200, I mean, you said newest, cheapest, newest. I don't know what you mean by that. Like newest, like Apple is selling it right now. That would probably be like what, the iPhone 8? Are they still selling the iPhone 8 new? If you're just talking about the cheapest iPhone that's still fairly new, look at the iPhone 7. You can get it for under $200. You can probably still find one in pretty good condition. They're only a few years old. The technology is still fairly recent, so I would recommend that. If you can afford $350, $400, look into the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 10R. All right, we have 2 more minutes left, so I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Remember, if you didn't get your question answered, join our Discord server. Daniel will post a link to that in the live chat. You can ask one question after this live stream ends. I'm going to be over there answering those questions in a Q&A video. Alex Zabel, thank you for that $2.79 Canadian super chat. Alex said, why is Apple making ugly iPhones? Do you think these iPhones are ugly? What do you think is ugly? You think the notch is ugly, or you think the camera system is ugly? I like the notch. I think they did a really good job. I mean, obviously it was the right decision because everyone ended up copying them, whether it's with a teardrop or a hole punch, they ended up copying them in some form or another. The camera system, I really like it. I really do. I like how it's just like the 3 circles. I really like how the raised part of the camera, the protruding part of the camera system is glass, like made out of the same glass as the back of the iPhone, so it's sort of seamless. I really, really like that design. So I mean, it's all it's all subjective, depending on what you think is ugly and pretty. All right, one more question. Super Elephant said, do you think Apple will be able to diversify its revenue good enough by the time smartphones are supplanted by a new far future product? Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to smartphones being replaced by something, if smartphones are replaced anytime soon, Apple is going to try to be the company to replace them, just like they replaced MP3 players. I mean, Apple was the company that killed the iPod. And Steve Jobs said it himself. I mean, you want to cannibalize your own products because if you don't, someone else will. And then those sales are being taken away from you. So when Apple came out with the iPhone, they knew it was going to kill the iPod, but they didn't care because if they didn't come out with the iPhone, someone else would have, and then they would have killed Apple completely. So they're going to try to do that. Now you said, can they diversify? If they don't do that, I mean, what they're doing right now is sales are slowing. Like hardware sales are slowing across the board in almost every industry for most companies, not only Apple. But what they're doing is they're getting into services really aggressively. I think it's a good idea. They have contributions to make. I think some of their TV shows and movies and things on Apple TV is good quality, and I think that's the right direction. They just need more content. And, you know, I think Apple Music is a good service. I think, what's their other service? Apple TV Plus, that's a good service. Apple News, I think that's all right. I don't use it, but I think that's fine. I think Apple Arcade is a really good one for people who really like mobile gaming. But that's what they're doing in the meantime as this hardware sale thing slows down. But I really think the next generation, the next big thing in technology is going to be related to AR, augmented reality. And we all know Apple has been working on some augmented reality technology that they may be implementing into glasses or a headset or something. And I think they're really going to try to create that next big thing that will maybe make smartphones obsolete. And if any company would do it, Apple has the proven track record over decades of doing it over and over and over again with their own products. I mean, even the iPad is kind of designed to make computers obsolete. I don't think they're going to make them obsolete, but it's kind of replacing computers slowly over time. And Apple was the one to make the modern tablet. So anyway, guys, that is the end of this live stream. Thank you so much for watching. Right now we have over 250 people. I'm not sure how it jumped so high in the last few minutes. Thank you for watching. If you didn't join our Discord, please join our Discord. You can go over to Instagram if you want to see like behind the scenes stuff that's happening. You can see what my live stream setup used to look like. I have a new live stream setup. I'll take a picture of that and post it on Instagram to show you guys. If you want to keep up with my personal life, sometimes I travel to Japan and I'll post some pictures on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be on Discord after this ends, answering your guys' questions. Don't forget to ask your question on Discord. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.